These things are really cool. They're a great way to get ultra stable footage, not to mention they look really expensive and professional. But the question is, do you really need them with the technology that's available in 2026 and beyond? Let's talk about it. Friend, when I got started in video, I was shooting a lot of things on my iPhone. And at the time I had the iPhone 10. It wasn't a Pro or Pro Max. It really wasn't designed to be shooting video professionally. And so I needed some way to stable my phone. And so I'm gonna start with the cell phone gimbal that you see here in front of me. This is the DJI Osmo 6, I believe. And I'm sure they're well beyond this at this point, but this is the one that I have here. You can already see probably where I'm going with this. I don't remember the last time I used this thing. Today, I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is not even the newest iPhone. And if you're using Samsung or any other kind of phone, most of the specs are somewhat comparable. I'm gonna get some tomatoes thrown at me for that. Regardless, there's so much stability built into the cameras of these smartphones today that even handheld footage looks like it was shot on a gimbal. So I'm not gonna belabor this. To have a cell phone gimbal, while it looks cool, and it definitely adds a layer of stability, sure. You wanna do some sweeping pans. I wanna say this one had an app too that it would actually follow you. So if you're doing some solo shooting and you need to move around a room, I do think that this will track you. I haven't looked into that. I've never used that feature, but I could see where that would be a benefit. But do you need to go out and buy a $160, $170, I don't remember how much this costs, but it was somewhere up there, a gimbal just to hold your phone still? And the answer is no. You can get away with a lot using handheld footage because of the stability, the technology that's built into these smartphones here today. Now my camera gimbal, on the other hand, like my DJI Ronin RS3 Mini that you see here, this one requires a bit more of an explanation. I originally bought this gimbal for my Canon EOS R8 camera. Now that camera specifically does not have any sort of in-body image stabilization, also known as IBIS. So the footage is very shaky if you hold it handheld. So having a gimbal to stable that type of camera is really helpful. Now I will say with that camera, some of the lenses that I bought have some image stabilization built in to the lenses themselves. So it's not taking advantage of the camera body like some other cameras do, but I am getting some additional stability based on the lens alone. Even still, I noticed that a lot of my footage was shaky, and there were some videos that I knew that I would be doing that involved walking and panning and that sort of thing, and so I wanted some real smooth footage. And the very first accessory that I went out and bought for my Canon R8 camera was this Ronin RS3 Mini. Now I have my Sony a7S II on here that you see, but I wanna back up a little bit. I bought this gimbal because I knew that I wanted some smooth motion for shooting. But there's another reason I bought this gimbal, and that's because it looks really cool. I was concerned that by me stepping out doing some handheld videography would make me look less professional, and that's just not true. Friend, if you can shoot well, hold your camera steady, it doesn't matter what accessories you're using, you can get so far by just doing that and being intentional about your shots and being very careful with how you shoot them. So to say that you absolutely need a gimbal, I would highly recommend saving that money and putting it towards something like a microphone or a lighting kit, or saving it further for some lenses on your camera. I think that's gonna be a much better use of that money, especially as newer camera gear comes out. The technology only continues to improve and things become more and more stable right in the body of the camera itself, or as I mentioned before, in the lenses even. And you pair those two up with a camera body with image stabilization, with a lens with image stabilization, and you practically have yourself a gimbal right there. Now, I'm sure there are gonna be some of you out there that are real estate videographers or otherwise where you are doing more walking shoots. It can certainly be a little more relaxed if you're holding something for a long time to have it on a gimbal because you have multiple points that you can hold on to. You can rest it against your body as well. Now, there are obviously other types of gimbals as well, not just the handheld joystick that you see here, but you've seen the square ones, you've seen the steady cams where it actually hangs over your head on a cable. There are so many ways to stabilize a camera. I really think that there are some other things that it makes sense to invest in before you get to this point. And you may find that if you shoot with your camera for a few weeks or a few months, that, hey, I didn't even need the gimbal anyway. From my own experience, I haven't used this a ton. Now, I happened to use this just last week for another video shoot where I kind of did some back and forth panning during an interview. So even though I had one camera on a tripod, I had a second camera angle where I was kind of walking back and forth because I don't have a glide cam, but this kind of simulates a glide cam and it created some really smooth footage. I can punch in and out as well, and it keeps that camera nice and stable. But again, do you need a gimbal when you're starting out in videography? And the answer is you really don't. I think there's certainly a place for it, but I don't think that you need to go out and drop the money on this today. So just a short video to talk about this because this is one of the things that I absolutely thought I had to have right out of the gate. And I like that I have it, but I don't use it enough to have justified spending the money when I did. Now, friend, I want to leave you with a free gift. I want to give you my film studio gear guide. If you just go to guidedproductions.com/studio gear guide, where I've actually packaged an entire list of the gear necessary to create professional looking content. It's just lenses, cameras, lights, mics, you name it. And I've even packaged it at different budget points. So if you're coming in with just a couple $100 to spend, well, I've given you a package where you can get all the things you need to get up and running and start making a studio or start filming professionally for just a couple $100. If you've got a few $1,000s to spend, obviously it builds up from there, and I've done all the heavy lifting for you. Just go to guidedproductions.com/studio gear guide. Download a free copy of my film studio gear guide. It's my free gift to say thank you for spending this time with me. If you have questions, leave a comment below and I would be happy to address them. Friend, if you just picked up a gimbal, like I said, there's a place for it. I like having this thing. I just don't use it that much. So if I were to go back to the beginning, I probably would have invested elsewhere first and then worked my way into something like this. So don't feel bad if you just went out and bought a gimbal. I think there is a place for it. I'm just saying right out of the gate, you don't need to drop the money on it. You can invest in some other areas. So thank you for spending this time with me. I hope this helps a little bit. Reinvest in some of those areas that you know are gonna move you forward quicker. And friend, I will see you on another video real soon.